Hi everyone, so I wanted to make a quick video tutorial about how to use Soundtrap and the way specifically we're going to be using it this semester. Well, first of all, you should have a couple things before you get started. Um, you don't need this, but ideally, as a musician, if you want to record yourself onto the computer, it's a good idea to get a dedicated what's called a microphone interface or a digital interface. So that way you can use microphones like this, which are just regular commercial microphones, commercially available microphones for all kinds of different applications. If you don't have that, I know that the school bought us a few of these, which is kind of a step up to just the microphone that's on your computer. But you know what? If you don't have any of those, you can actually just use that microphone that's on your computer. The sound actually doesn't come out that bad. So, I would rather have you just record than sit there and wait for a microphone for you to get a microphone. So, another thing you're gonna need for this semester, because I'd like to do some video, is perhaps maybe some other device. So personally, what I'm doing is I'm doing my recording onto the computer, and then I'm using my phone. I set up my phone on a tripod to actually capture video of myself while I'm recording the track. Now, if you don't have more than one device, one thing you could do is, record your audio and then come back later and sort of lip sync to what you did. But it's really nice to have the video of the actual take when I go to make that video at the end. That way it's going to be a little bit more realistic looking video when I add you into the compilation video. So that would be better. And then you're going to send me that video at the end. You're going to put it into a Google folder. But let's just talk about Soundtrap a little bit and how this works. So Soundtrap is just a very simple, what's called a DAW, or a digital audio interface. But it happens to work within your browser. So that's what's cool about it, is it can work on a PC, it can work on a Mac, it can work on your phone, it can work on your iPad. There's all kinds of different places that this recording program can work. When you'll get an invitation to a particular project, and when you go to Soundtrap, it looks something like this, and you go down here and you'll see the different projects that are there. So there's a couple things you can do here. Like if I wanted to just hear what's going on in this project, I could just press this play button here, and you're going to hear a little bit of noise at the top. There's the clap that happens, and I'll show you that. So that's what we've recorded so far on Told You So. But for you to do your actual recording, what you want to do is you want to go into the studio. So you're going to hit the studio button over here, and that's going to bring you into the actual project. Now, by the time you get to the project, there should be some files in there already. If you're the first one to get there, you're probably just going to see my bass track on there, and that'll be the only thing. So each one of these colored bands here is a track. The one thing you want to be very, very careful of is don't erase anybody else's work, right? So I wouldn't click on one of these and hit delete. That would be very bad because then you're deleting someone else's work. So you want to be very, very careful about that. What you're going to want to do, let's just get a couple of housekeeping things out of the way first. So usually by default, this window is going to come up here that has collaborators and things on it. What we're going to do is we're going to hit this little people button here, and it's going to get rid of that window. So now we can see the whole project as it is. Don't worry about where you're going to put your track in the project. I will do that later when I go to mix it. What you're going to do to create your track is you're going to go down here to where it says add new track. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit that right now. So this dialog comes up. It's asking me what I want to do. So unless you're playing piano, and using a keyboard sound or something like that on the actual program. Like Lily, for instance, you'll probably play some piano on here later, and you might want to use the piano and keyboard one. The rest of you who are singing or playing an instrument, you're going to go to this one that says voice and microphones. And so simply you're going to click this one, and then this dialog is going to come up. It goes by default to this thing that says computer mic enhancer. I would kind of rather you don't do that, and just click once to the left, and it's going to say voice, and it's going to say clean. Okay, and if you look over here, it's going to set these things for you, these dials for you. There's going to be no reverb on it. It's going to be panned directly in the middle. In other words, in the stereo spectrum, whatever you record is going to be in the middle. And it's just going to have kind of a general volume on it. So that's going to enable me later to just work with whatever you recorded. I can go ahead and add the reverb or some other effects to it if I'd like to do that later. That's what this clean is going to do for you. So make sure you set that to clean first. Then the second thing you're going to do is you're going to go over here and you're going to choose your input. Now I have a couple of inputs here because I have a couple different ways of recording. So what I want to do right now, I'm just going to use the built-in microphone. So I'm going to select that as my microphone. You may not have any other options there besides that one. So I'm just going to, for this particular recording, I'm just going to use the external microphone of my computer. And then what you do, and this is, you can record without this, but I found this is much better to do this before you start recording. There's this little icon here that you would miss if you didn't see it, right? But look, if you click on this, it's going to do a volume check for you, okay? And I think this is really important to get a good volume onto your recording. What it does is it limits the input of your microphone so that it doesn't distort. And this is really good because if I have a distorted signal that I have to try to work with later, it's not going to work. I'll probably ask you to redo that later. So what it's going to do is going to say start test, and then you just start playing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with my melodica here. Let's see what we get. Okay, so it took just a little sampling of what I played there, and it set the input level to a good level. So I'm done with that. It says you sound great. I beg to differ, but anyway. So now I'm ready to start recording. One thing you want to make sure that you do, another thing before you start recording, is you want to make sure that the click track is on. For a couple reasons. The way that we're going to do the video, we definitely want that click track on, at least in the beginning. So you click on here. Now for each tune that you're going to record, I'm going to have specific instructions about how that works. In this particular file that I'm about to record on, we're going to hear 2 measures of click. So it's going to go click, 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 click. Then what I need you to do after you've put your video on, so not only are we going to start the recording, but we're going to start whatever our device is, recording video at the same time, I want you to clap at the beginning of the 3rd bar. And what that's going to do for me later in the video, it's going to make it easy for me to sync the video all together. So I'll tell you what, I'm just going to go ahead and do a demonstration of how this is going to work. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm pretending that I have my phone on a tripod, and I put that on record, and then I come over here in front of the camera, in front of the recording, and I'm going to hit, and don't worry about how much time it takes you to get there. I'm just going to edit all that stuff out. That's not a big deal. I'm going to hit start recording. As soon as I do that, I'm going to start hearing that click track. I'm going to clap, and then I'm going to grab my instrument and start playing. I'm going to get another 1.5 bars in this case to start playing. So here we go. I'm going to hit start recording. Oh, by the way, that's the other thing you need. Headphones. You must use headphones. Otherwise, like it says there, you can and you will get a loud feedback noise, and we don't want to hear that on the recording. So, and it could just be, these type of headphones too. They don't have to be these fancy ones like I'm wearing, just so that you're not monitoring yourself off the computer itself. Okay, so I'm going to click here, I'm using headphones, and the recording is going to start. Here we go. So I'm going to click, I'm using headphones. Whoops. So I didn't zero it actually up to where it's supposed to go. So I'm going to stop my recording. Notice I have like a little echo now because it's actually monitoring my recording. Notice I had actually, at one point, I had played this, I think in the middle. So to make it reset all the way to the beginning, you go down here and you hit this icon here, and that's going to move it all the way back to the beginning of the recording. We don't have to put a count off on for this. We just hit the metronome on. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in record like that. So you have to hit this R for it to be in record mode. You should be hearing yourself in the headphones at this point, and then I can hit this red button and it should start up. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to stop that because actually right now I have the count off on. I don't want the count in on. So I'm going to turn that off. Okay, so notice I did that over here. See, I'm glad we're doing this video together, right? So if you want to count in, that would give you either a bar or 2 bars before the click starts. But the way I'm setting up these recordings is that you don't need to have it on. It's going to start counting right away, and you use that as your count off. So I'm going to hear 2 bars of that, and then I'm going to do my clap, and then I'm going to hear a bar and a half, and I'm going to start playing. So here we go. I'm going to go, I should be back at the beginning by this time. Here I'm going to hit record. It's just going to record over that thing that I just tried to do. Here we go. 2. Oh, sorry, I have 1 bar out front on this one. Okay, so only 1 bar out front. Here we go. Okay, I did get a dialogue in there, and I think I know why. I think I'm hearing some sound from my other monitor over there. But let's see how it came out. I'm going to turn off my recording here, and we're going to monitor and see how that came out. There's my clap. Okay, so that's not too bad. That worked okay. So if I'm happy with that, I just leave it, and then I can go to the next place that it is I'm going to record. I mean, in general, you're just going to let it roll, and you're going to record your whole song. Now, you may not like something you recorded, and that's totally fine. If that's the case, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to overdub something. So for instance, say I didn't like maybe the last measure of this, okay? By the way, all the measure numbers are up here, right? They may not correspond to your chart. As a matter of fact, they don't correspond to the chart in this case. But one thing we can do, if we want to, we can actually zoom in to the recording, and I can do that actually just by doing this with the trackpad. So I'm going to zoom in, right? So I just went boom, like that with my trackpad. To zoom it in, and so here's the recording that I just did. Say I didn't like bar 6, right? Say I didn't like this part here. So if I wanted to redo that, what I could do is put my marker on bar 6, and then give myself a count off, say 2 bars, and then hit record again. And what it's going to do, it's going to back up 2 bars from that, and then I'm just going to play where I made the mistake. So first of all, I have to put this in record like this, and I'm just going to hit record. So that should have now done a little overdub of what I had done before. So let's see how that sounds. Yeah, so that worked, right? It did a little overdub. So now I have the part that I like a little bit better here, just put together with the part that I recorded before. So just to review that, you put the cursor where it is you want to record, okay? Notice when I do that, it sticks, right, to each bar, doesn't it? right? You may not want to do that. What if I liked this, but I didn't really like this note, but I like these other two notes? Well, what I can do is this. See this thing over here? Now, this is a little confusing. It almost looks like a headphone, but what this is, it's what's called snap to grid. So what I can do is I can turn that off and say I want to do just this little part, this boot up part at the end. Now, look, I can put that cursor wherever I want. So say I wanted to overdub just those two notes. I'd put my cursor there. I'd make sure that my count in is on. And now I'm going to try recording it again. Here we go. I still got that recording with headphones thing, but that's all right. Look, and then it just put it in. Right? It's almost like seamless, right? So, in other words, you don't have to worry. If you make a little mistake or something in between, you can always go back and you can even just fix that little tiny part. Okay. That's why I'd say let your first time go and let your video just roll, right? Just let the video roll all the way through, even if you make a few mistakes. I promise I'm not going to put your mistake into the video. We're going to hear the track with the video, and I'm just going to put you in the video selectively as we need you. Now, probably the most important thing that you have to know when you're finished with your track and you're really happy with your track, make sure you go up here and you hit save. Okay? If you don't hit save, I think it's going to warn you anyway, but if you don't hit save, all your work's going to disappear. Okay? So that's the most important thing. So I'm going to hit save, and it's going to say saving project, right? And boom, now it's a permanent part until someone deletes that of that particular project. Okay? All right, so I hope this was helpful. And then, you don't have to worry about the mixing part. I'm going to put, your track in the correct place in the file. I'm going to do the panning. I'm going to do all the reverb and all that stuff. I just need you to get your part down, playing along with the other people as best you can, right? So make sure that your part is syncing with the people who recorded before you, and we're going to be in really good shape. Looking forward to the end of semester and hearing all this stuff all put together. All right, let me know if you have any questions. See ya.